What if the next global superpower isn't crowned by armies, but by currency? Picture a midnight summit in Shanghai. Gold bars stacked in vaults, digital wallets lighting up in Lagos and Sao Paulo. This is a new kind of arms race, fought not with tanks, but with code and contracts. For nearly a century, the US dollar has ruled the world's money map. It's the language of oil, the anchor of trade, the safe haven in every storm. But now, China and the BRICS nations are quietly building a rival, one that could redraw the rules of global finance and maybe even trigger a new kind of Cold War. Imagine secret deals in Moscow, oil contracts signed in Chinese yuan, and a digital currency being tested in African markets, completely bypassing Wall Street and Washington. What if the world's next superpower is minted, not elected? What happens if the dollar's crown slips while all the headlines are looking the other way? Coming up, we'll dive into the secret deals and digital moves that could dethrone the dollar. But first, how did the dollar become king in the first place? And what happens if the world decides to quietly change the rules? Let's step back in time, to the aftermath of World War II. Europe and Asia lie in ruins. But in a quiet New Hampshire hotel, the world's new financial order is being written. This was the Bretton Woods Conference. 44 nations gathered and made a historic agreement. The US dollar, backed by solid gold, would be the anchor for the entire global economy. Suddenly, ships were leaving New York Harbor loaded with both goods and greenbacks. America's factories roared back to life. Its gold reserves towered over everyone else's, and the dollar officially became the world's reserve currency. This was the dawn of Wall Street's golden age. The dollar was king, and America was its kingdom. But beneath the surface, the gears of change were already turning. Fast forward to 1971. President Nixon is facing a crisis. The world holds too many dollars, and America doesn't have enough gold to back them all up. So, in a shocking televised address, he makes a move that changes everything. He closes the gold window. The dollar is no longer tied to gold. From now on, it's backed by something else entirely. Faith, and more importantly, oil. This is where the secret deal comes in. In the deserts of Saudi Arabia, US officials and Saudi royals strike a world-changing bargain. America promises to protect the kingdom with its military might. In return, every single barrel of oil sold by Saudi Arabia will be priced in US dollars. The petrodollar system is born. Think about the impact of that. Overnight, every nation on earth needed dollars to buy the one commodity that powered their economies, oil. This created a massive, constant demand for the US currency. Wall Street boomed as oil-rich nations poured their profits, their petrodollars, back into American banks and bonds. The dollar's network effect became an unstoppable force. But the 1973 oil crisis was a huge warning shot. It showed the world just how deeply oil and money were now connected. We all remember the images, long lines at gas stations, skyrocketing prices, and surging inflation. It became clear to everyone. A handshake in the desert had made the dollar king, and every barrel of oil had become a vote for American power. So the stage was set. The dollar's reign was built on the ruins of war, solidified by gold, and then supercharged by a secret oil deal. It seemed invincible. But, as we all know, every empire eventually faces its challengers. And in the decades that followed, the first cracks in the dollar's crown began to show. Who were these challengers, and what was their plan? Fast forward to the 21st century. The year is 2008, and a financial tsunami is about to hit. The world watches in disbelief as the global financial crisis unfolds. Giant banks collapse, trust evaporates, and suddenly, the dollar's long-held invincibility is thrown into question. As chaos reigns in the West, leaders in Beijing and Moscow are paying close attention, quietly starting to lay the groundwork for a new world order. This is where the story gets interesting. China begins an unprecedented gold-buying spree. Ton after ton of gold bars are shipped from vaults in London and Zurich straight to Beijing. At the same time, Russia, feeling the sting of Western sanctions, starts a bold experiment. It begins selling its oil not just for dollars, but for yuan and euros. This isn't just about defiance. It's a strategic move to break free from the dollar's grip. Soon, other nations join the chorus. India starts exploring trade in its own currency, the rupee. Brazil and South Africa add their voices, calling for a more balanced financial system. Out of this shared vision, the BRICS bloc is born. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, creating a powerful counterweight to the traditional Western-led institutions. They don't just talk, they act. They build their own development bank, a rival to the World Bank and IMF. They sign currency swap agreements, allowing them to trade directly with each other, bypassing the dollar completely. The term de-dollarization moves from academic theory to a geopolitical reality. At recent BRICS summits, the momentum has been undeniable. A line of new countries, from the Middle East to Africa, is eager to join this alternative club. They see it as a path to a future not dictated by Washington. But the most significant changes are happening away from the cameras, in the shadows of the global financial system. Gold shipments are now taking new routes, bypassing the traditional hubs of London and heading straight to Shanghai. Oil-for-yuan contracts are being signed in capitals like Riyadh and Tehran. And across the global south, in Lagos, Johannesburg, and Sao Paulo, digital wallets powered by Chinese payment systems are lighting up millions of phones. Every time the US imposes sanctions or uses the SWIFT system as a weapon, it pushes more countries to look for these alternatives. The dollar's share of global reserves begins to slip slowly but surely as central banks diversify into gold and other currencies. How did China and Russia manage to turn gold and oil into financial weapons? Why are so many nations eager to join the BRICS alliance? The feeling in the markets today is an echo of past crises. The panic of 1929, the oil shocks of the 70s, the uncertainty of 2008. There's a quiet anxiety, a sense that the ground is shifting beneath our feet. A silent revolution is underway, rewriting the rules of money with digital currencies and backroom deals. Now, let's step into the future that's already being built. In Shanghai, a new form of money is taking shape. It's China's digital yuan. It has been tested in megacities and is used for everything from buying street food to settling massive cross-border oil deals. It moves at the speed of light, with no SWIFT, no Wall Street, and no middleman. Secret gold shipments arrive, taking new, unmonitored routes. Rumors are swirling about gold-backed trade pilots, contracts settled not in dollars, but in hard assets and digital tokens. Saudi Arabia, once the absolute cornerstone of the petrodollar system, is now signing oil contracts in yuan. Russia and Iran are quickly following suit, eager to escape the dollar's long reach. The BRICS nations are pushing for a brand new payment network, one that connects digital wallets across Africa, South America, and Asia. This network would completely bypass the old financial arteries that run through New York and London. Imagine this. A Nigerian entrepreneur pays a Brazilian supplier in digital yuan with a single tap. A South African miner settles a gold shipment to an Indian buyer from his phone. It's already happening. Behind the scenes, central banks within the BRICS bloc are quietly accumulating massive amounts of gold. They are preparing for a world where trust is measured not just in promises or code, but in physical metal. The new global playbook is a fascinating mix of the ancient and the futuristic. Central bank digital currencies for speed, gold for trust, and oil for leverage. This isn't a distant possibility, it's the new financial reality taking shape right now. Picture two worlds. One ruled by the dollar, the other by a rising BRICS alliance. On one side, you have Wall Street's skyscrapers, oil tankers docking in Houston, and a global habit of pricing everything in dollars. For decades, the dollar's strength has come from more than just oil. It's trust, it's liquidity, it's the world's default setting. On the other side, you see Shanghai's digital exchanges, gold vaults in Moscow, and new alliances stretching from Riyadh to Johannesburg. The BRICS challenge is powered by technology, digital wallets, instant payments, and a growing web of commodity-backed deals. This isn't just about moving money, it's about rewriting the rules of the game. Now the dollar has faced challengers before. Remember the euro, the yen, even gold itself. Each time the dollar survived, even thrived. Why? Because trust, deep financial markets, and the simple force of habit are incredibly hard to break. The world runs on dollars. But this time, the challenger is different. BRICS isn't just one country or one currency. It's a group of powerful nations mixing old power with new tech, gold with code, oil with digital rails. They're not just trying to replace the dollar. They're trying to build an alternative system from the ground up. So, is the dollar's crown finally slipping? Or is it just being polished for a new age? What did past challengers miss that BRICS might be getting right? The risks are real. Can a digital, gold-backed system truly challenge the dollar's global network effect? Will the world trust a new anchor currency? Or will old habits simply die hard? What happens if the next world money isn't printed by a government, but coded by a consortium of nations? Imagine a digital oil deal that triggers a new kind of financial shock, one that travels at the speed of light. Is this just a passing storm, or are we witnessing the dawn of a new financial era? The stakes are global. If the world's money map is redrawn, every saver, every investor, and every nation will feel the shockwaves. Your savings, your investments, the price of gas, it's all connected to this rivalry. So what does the BRICS dollar competition really mean for you? It's more than just a financial story. It's a battle for trust, for power, and for the future of the global order. Every reserve currency in history has faced challengers. But the stakes have never been higher, and the tools have never been this advanced. Will the next world money be printed in Washington, coded in Shanghai, or built on a blockchain that no one single entity controls? History shows us that every currency king eventually faces a reckoning. The oil crisis of the 1970s, the collapse of the Bretton Woods system, the quiet rise of digital gold, each of these moments changed the rules for everyone, often overnight. The question is, will you be ready if the world's money changes again? Will you recognize the signs before the headlines hit? The answers are often hidden in the past, if you know where to look. Subscribe for more cinematic economic history and learn how to navigate the next money revolution.